Welcome to The Explainer. In our last one, we really broke down all the reasons why so many AI initiatives they fail. Today, we're flipping the script. We're going to dive into the solution side, the evidence-based playbook for success.
Right, so this is part 2 of our deep dive into a really comprehensive research report from Virtualization Options LLC. In part 1, we covered the why these projects go off the rails. Now we're focusing on the report's big insight. These failures are totally preventable. So let's get into their playbook for success. So here's our roadmap. It's built on 5 core pillars. We're going to start with that strategic foundation, then get into the critical human element, talk about agile execution, and how to sustain value. And then we'll see how it all locks together into this really powerful success cycle. Okay, let's dive right in, because every single successful transformation, I don't care if it's AI or anything else, it all starts with a rock-solid foundation. If you get this part wrong, everything else you build is basically on sand. You know, the very first step is to just get past those vague ambitions like, let's use AI. It doesn't work. Successful projects, they start by identifying a real tangible business pain point. And then you have to quantify exactly what success looks like. Are you trying to cut response times by, say, 40% or boost sales conversions by 25%? Those specific measurable outcomes, that's your North Star. And here's a huge takeaway from the research. AI is not just an IT project. I mean, treating it that way is a fatal mistake. For this to work, you need a team with all these different perspectives. You need business leaders for the strategy, IT for the infrastructure, of course, data scientists for the models, operations folks who know the real-world workflows, and maybe most important of all, the end users, the actual people who are going to have to use the tool every single day. Okay, so you've got the right strategy, you've assembled the perfect cross-functional team. But that's where the real work begins. Because you can have the best technology in the world, but the human element, that is where most of these transformations either fly or they die. This is really the heart of it all. Now, get a load of this number. It's staggering. Research from Mendix shows that 70%, 70, of digital transformations fail because of bad change management. So why is it so high? Well, think about it. New tech often makes people nervous, uncertain about their jobs, worried about complex new ways of doing things. This tells us that managing the human side, it's not some nice-to-have soft skill. It is a core part of success. Ignoring it is basically planning to fail. And that change, it has to start right at the top. The research from Russell Reynolds is crystal clear on this. You need AI-ready leadership. Now, this doesn't mean your CEO needs to know how to code Python, but they do need to get the implications of AI and be able to steer the entire organization through that big cultural shift that comes with it. So the playbook's answer is you have to address this fear and resistance head on. Vague reassurances just make people more suspicious. What you need is radical transparency about how roles are going to evolve, a serious commitment to training, and you have to genuinely involve employees in the process. Because when people help build the solution, they stop being obstacles and they become your biggest advocates. All right, so you've got your people on board. The next big question is delivery. And how you roll out your AI initiative is every bit as important as what you're rolling out. Way too many organizations get this wrong, and boy, are the consequences costly. A lot of organizations fall for what the report calls the Big Bang fallacy, this idea that you can just transform everything all at once. The research shows this is just a recipe for disaster. The much more effective method is the agile approach. You start with small, focused pilots. You learn from them. You prove their value. And only then do you start to scale. It just systematically cuts down the risk. Yeah, this patient, systematic journey might feel a little slower at the beginning. I get it. But it actually leads to a faster, more successful, and way more sustainable transformation in the long run. You get to avoid those massive, expensive failures that happen when you just try to do too much too soon. So, you've done the pilot, you've iterated, and you've scaled successfully. The project is a win, right? Time to celebrate? Well, not so fast. Building and launching an AI tool is really only half the battle. The real challenge, and this is where a lot of initiatives silently fail, is making sure it delivers value not just on day one, but for years and years to come. To prevent this kind of silent failure, you need what the researchers call outcome observability. Basically, you have to be constantly monitoring the metrics that actually matter. As you can see here, you have to keep asking, are people really using the tool? Is it changing how they work for the better? And maybe the biggest question, is it still delivering that business value you defined way back at the start? If you don't watch this stuff, that value can just evaporate. And sustainability, it's not just about financial value. It's about maintaining trust in the system itself, and that requires strong governance. You have to have clear guardrails for how AI is used, you need proactive data privacy measures, and processes to make sure your models are performing the way they're supposed to. Without this governance, trust disappears, adoption plummets, and that long-term value becomes impossible to achieve. So, when you combine all of these strategies together, you start to see that it's not a linear checklist that you just finish and forget about. No, it's actually a continuous cycle of improvement where each part feeds the next. You can see right here how each element reinforces the others. Your clear goals tell you what kind of team to build. Good change management helps you scale successfully. Monitoring the outcomes tells you exactly how you need to adapt. It creates this virtuous loop of sustained value, instead of just a one-time project that eventually fizzles out. Okay, as we wrap this up, let's really lock in these key takeaways. First and foremost, if you remember nothing else, remember this. This is a human endeavor. The most advanced AI on the planet is worthless if people won't or can't use it effectively. Technology enables the change, sure, but your people, they make it happen. Second, ditch the fluffy, vague ambitions. Your journey has to start with specific, measurable business objectives. And you gotta remember, this is a marathon of learning and iterating, not some mad dash to a magical finish line. Third, remember that leadership readiness and real change management are the true engine of success. You can't have one without the other. They are absolutely non-negotiable, and they are central to any real, lasting transformation. Fourth, for that success to last, it has to be built on a foundation of trustworthy data. And it has to be woven so seamlessly into people's daily work that using it just becomes the easiest path. It has to feel natural, not like some extra chore they have to do. And finally, you have to actively watch for success. Don't ever assume that a successful launch equals sustained value. That value can, and it often will, quietly evaporate if you aren't paying close attention to the right business and behavior metrics over the long haul. The research is clear. The path to a successful AI transformation, it's challenging, yeah, but it is well mapped. The common pitfalls are known, and the strategies to prevent them are proven. So really, that leaves just one final question for you and for your team.